It starts as a murmur, a joke dropped at your expense, an odd change in atmosphere, a gaze held a beat too long, a grin hiding something more sinister. The majority ignore these. They shrug them off, convincing themselves it's not worth the energy. It doesn't matter until it grows, louder, sharper, out in the open. By the moment they decide to answer back, it's already too late. Ignored contempt quickly becomes consented contempt. Machiavelli understood this better than the rest. In a world fixated with status, image, and control, he realized respect isn't passively acquired, it's actively imposed. Each instance of disrespect demands your decisive move, not just in the eyes of the culprit, but in the lessons everyone else draws from your response. Disrespect is seldom personal when it first arrives. It's a gauge, and failing that test doesn't just brand you as unworthy, but as reliably safe to disregard. So if you're slighted, act now, not eventually, not as a thought experiment, but instantly. Turn silent, but never docile. Here's the first Machiavellian commandment when facing disrespect. The one ruled by emotion loses standing. The one who retreats wisely becomes unreadable. Unreadability breeds anxiety. Silence isn't about neglecting it. It's about removing your emotional investment. Don't wave it away. Don't fake obliviousness. Don't offer explanations or share the effect it had. Let them sense your retreat, in your eyes, your inflection, in the gap you refuse to fill. You cause the tempo they hoped for to abruptly stop, a sudden social void in the conversation they thought they owned. Disrespect needs reaction, be it laughter, defense, or placation, to survive. But when it encounters icy calm, its true shape emerges, pathetic, empty bravado. Machiavelli didn't throw the first blow. He waited. He permitted adversaries to completely reveal their intent before intervening. When he did, it came without apology, only calculated action. That's your move now. Reflect the offense, not with sarcasm or retaliation, but with questions. The one who insults you wants a show of nerves. What they won't predict is exposure. So, stand your ground in silence, tip your head, fix your gaze, and say as cold as a knife, "Was that how you meant it?" Or, "Want to say that again?" Or, "That came off personal. Care to clarify before I reply?" Every line, a careful incision. You're not denying the slight. You're drawing them out, encouraging repetition, pushing them to make it plain. Most back down. Those who disrespect rarely possess courage. They fish for boundaries, looking for those who will enforce them. Meet their challenge with icy restraint, and you'll trigger the one thing you want: doubt. Not vengeance, not drama, simply doubt. Because the person inspiring uncertainty in others doesn't beg for respect. It radiates from them. And then there's the deeper level. Anyone can manage one face-off. Repetition is a rarer skill. Handled it the first time? Good. If you slip back into old comfort, though, the cycle resumes. So here's your third step. Redefine everything straight away. No reverting. No pretending it was nothing. Redraw the boundaries in conversation, demeanor, and newfound distance. Machiavelli knew that punishing a public offense at the right moment not only ends threats, it instructs the entire group. If the disrespect was witnessed, let your changed presence say more than a comeback ever could. Withdraw kindness, sharpen dialogue, decline invitations. There's no need for pronouncements. Let them sense the difference. That's the defining line between those respected and those overlooked. Not bluster, but steadfastness. The message to the room: that's unavailable to you with me. You refuse to justify, even if it unsettles them. The social tide moves in response. Others notice. Their tone shifts, words measured. Because those above ridicule aren't the loudest. They're just the ones who always know the right move. A measured silence, unwavering focus, and the refusal to place another's comfort before self-worth. End it before it takes root. Not with outrage, but with the stoic response they did not expect. Discipline, space, and utter command. Disrespect is not a lone event. It's a probe, an experiment, a tester's poke to gauge your tolerance before pushing harder. The very first violation, a hidden barb, a sly dig, or a venomous compliment, tells everyone present how your silence will be interpreted. Machiavelli would advise, once you're seen as easy prey, reclamation is twice as hard. In the aftermath, when you've gone quiet, called the conduct into question sans emotion, and created distance, what follows is equally critical. Tests continue, disguised delicately, breaking you down by degrees. Maybe a light-hearted jab, an invitation conveniently overlooked, a passive line followed by a keen glance, searching for any hesitation. This is the cue for your next action. Escalate the lesson with outsized response. Machiavelli built his methods not on equity, but on efficacy. He saw that fair punishment is quickly forgotten. Disproportionate consequence lingers. You're not reacting out of pettiness. You're setting a precedent. There is no second chance with me. When they overstep again, freeze further. If the offense was public, so should be your withdrawal. Speak minimally, redirect your attention, bar entry to your warmth. What you offer isn't conflict, it's removal. They're not bested, simply denied access. That humiliation, being unseen by a person who once acknowledged them, is more cutting than any insult. Most want to patch things up, to earn praise as the bigger person. But Machiavelli would scoff. Respect follows consequence, meted out in cool silence, not emotional fireworks. Now your real influence emerges. Bystanders saw the slight, observed your answer, and now track your next move for consistency. This is your image reset. Because for Machiavelli, perception exceeds reality. When you hold frame after conflict, you wear armor. Your post-conflict silence has to say, they don't tolerate that. When your absence triggers tension, your presence means you're known for boundaries. Now your name carries heft. Words are filtered twice before used, and your presence is outlined as strictly no nonsense. That's your strength, built by decisive moments. But the toughest phase is next. Some won't care about social loss. They play for chaos, drawing power from disruption. Against these, escalation is required, not emotional, but social. Target their behavior with tailored questions, in front of an audience or subtly, never losing poise. That's an intriguing remark. Use that at work too. Or, if that's your tone with friends, strangers must be in for a shock. Without arguing, you make them own their words publicly, turning energy against them so that the room witnesses their pettiness. This is retaliation with Machiavellian flavor. Never dramatic, always calculated. Stay composed, allow the disrespect to hang, then collapse it onto them. They inherit their own mess. This is silent power. It's not just ignoring, but ensuring every slight becomes their undoing. Respect chases you now, and everyone knows. You don't explain, you don't plead, you don't permit. You end it definitively. Most don't realize. Disrespect grows on impunity, not on assertiveness. They risk it when they sense you're inoffensive. Push because they doubt you've countered before. That's what ignites most insults, the certainty you're safe to target. Yet Machiavelli taught, true might is not frequent attack, but the ever-present suspicion that you might. a readiness that disarms. Once you've laid clear boundaries, your aim isn't winning favor, but cultivating doubt. Not fear, but confusion. Did I overstep? Why has he gone quiet? What's she thinking? This uncertainty becomes protective armor. The unpredictable are carefully avoided. Machiavelli cautioned against being an open book. Rulers easily read are easily outplayed. But when you're deliberately silent and unhurried, then suddenly surgical, you're a disruptor in the social equation. The room shifts unconsciously around outliers. People defer, not out of dread, but because the unknown is inherently respected. So say little, contemplate longer, speak only when impact is intended. The twist. Respect isn't born from likability, but from being deeply felt. Enter a space and watch the mood change. Voices fall, people adjust. Not popularity, but gravity. Presence is grown through contrast. You don't always respond, but when you do, it resonates. You never compete for dominance, but reject trespass. You don't demand respect, but revoke access instantly when lines are crossed. Your energy acts as an unspoken warning, coldly determined. But mastery is a step beyond. You stop viewing insults as personal and treat them as intelligence. You see the insecurity, desperation, envy behind the comment, and you record it, not absorb it. The affront unmasks them, not you. Collect the information. Decide on their future involvement. Remove them publicly or quietly. Use their action as warning or let them fade into privacy. You're done playing emotional chess. Now you move others by strategy alone. For Machiavelli, the highest position is one where boundaries are honored even in your absence. That is victory. Not in applause, but in the weight your void carries. The truly unassailable aren't those constantly battling disrespect, but those for whom disrespect is unaffordable. Not through fits of rage, but through measured retreat, high consequence, and utter confidence. You're not working their social playbook, but your own rule of power. The dynamic changes, words soften, tones mellow, the air switches gears, because your purpose isn't blending in, but insisting on respect. If not met, you leave them adrift in a silence that echoes long after. In every scene of clashing egos, there's a subtle shift. The moment the room reorients, the moment after you've shown, wordlessly, that disrespect ends here. Not only have they stopped crossing you, they lose even the notion of trying. Machiavelli's last lesson. You don't merely react, but evolve into a symbol. Power is no longer about deeds, but about anticipation, what you might do next, even if you never reveal it. Become the person whose boundaries are uncharted. Your quiet signals not surrender, but foresight. Your composure warns, I am contained, not conciliatory. Once you've enforced your standard, the real test begins. Will your discipline persist for an audience and for yourself? Public slights test the integrity of your limits. The outcome, whether you break or remain unwavering, produces a certainty that captivates. Such assurance is rare where most seek acceptance. But this isn't coldness, just sovereign warmth. A smile, a word, even attention, all now dispensed by choice. Access is privilege, never default. That's invulnerability, built through letting go. No overreactions, no groveling, no explaining, no rationalizing even the smallest slight. Your response changes the atmosphere. Interruption ceases, your statements are revisited, and you become terrain rather than just a traveler. Machiavelli's sharpest pronouncement, it is better to be respected than to risk irrelevance. Once people know your value, if they violate it repeatedly, distance is your answer. not reform. Those who cross the line only once become a warning. The repeat offenders, manipulative, persistent, are eliminated not with drama but omission, watching you climb while they vanish into background noise. In your exclusion, their true value is revealed. They were merely tolerated, never embraced. This awareness reframes your whole world. No need to seek approval, defend yourself, or prove size. You realize, as Machiavelli did, that what you don't permit can never harm you. If access to you is limited, no undermining is possible. If presence is conditional, their attempts collapse into self-doubt. True dominance needs only this: control over reactions, responses, and audience. That's how historic leaders wielded influence, not by intimidation, but by creating an environment where violation, once allowed, was never repeated. That's how you become not just respected, but the standard for everyone else. Now for the last master stroke, the moment when they recognize their error. Don't punish or forgive. Show something stronger. When disrespect is finally noticed by its source, you sculpt the final perception. You're no longer the target. You're the author of narrative. Machiavelli would say, "Mercy without warmth intimidates more than any penalty." In delivering this mercy, you declare wordlessly, "You're now beneath my concern." That's how you complete the process. Withdraw, remain unmoved, hold the line with a stare and a quiet air. They may try to mend, laugh nervously, return to old patterns. This is your fullest control. No reaction, no comfort, no resentment, just the untouched aura of your new standard. They roam in a reality of your creation. Their relevance is lost. Your focus no longer bends for them. This is true power. Your disappearance compounds more than presence ever could. The shock for them. Their disrespect didn't diminish you. It forged you sharper, rarer, more formidable. This is the legacy Machiavelli championed. Not noisy retaliation, but invisible architecture, elevating you while others betray their own character. One mistake, one lesson. Afterward, new whispers circle, not of discord, but restraint. They're unreadable, but I've never seen her falter. Don't test them. That's legacy. Tone checked, words repeated, posture changed when you enter, presence felt when you leave. No longer striving for attention, but being the audience no one can guarantee. Let them speculate, hypothesize, watch your next move. They know, cross you, and you'll disappear, leaving behind a silence impossible to outtalk.